The traditional Hindu universe is structured in distinct vertical tiers. At the very top sits Svarga, the subtle dimensions of heaven. Below that lies Prithvi, our mortal earth. But if you keep traveling down through the mortal plane, you enter Patala, a vast subterranean underworld made up of 7 distinct layers. And at the very bottom of this structure is a realm called Nagaloka. Nagaloka is the domain of the Nagas. These are powerful, multi-headed serpent beings, born from the ancient sage Kashyapa and his wife Kadru. They are highly intelligent, immensely strong, and deeply unpredictable. By their very nature, the Nagas produced and stored massive quantities of concentrated venom. Left unchecked, their aggression and the sheer volume of this poison threaten to bleed upward, destabilizing the intricate balance of all 3 tiers of the universe. The celestial gods found themselves paralyzed. Engaging the Nagas in standard warfare offered no viable solution. Striking down millions of massive serpents in open combat would simply spill their venom, poisoning the soil and rivers of creation entirely. To save the 3 worlds, the gods had to stop treating the serpents as enemies to be destroyed and start treating them as subjects to be governed. They needed a figure who could bridge the gap between the celestial and the subterranean. Lord Shiva, the god of destruction and meditation, took on the task. He entered a state of profound, unbroken trance, gathering a concentrated energy designed to bridge the insurmountable gap between the celestial deities and the subterranean reptiles. From the sheer force of Shiva's mind, his mana, this energy materialized into a sentient being. She was named Manasa Devi, the mind-born goddess, born to sit at the center of the serpent's nest and act as the final authority over the underworld. Look at the way she is depicted in historical reliefs. She is consistently shown as a beautiful, smiling woman, completely sheltered by a wide canopy of 7 cobra hoods. She descended into Nagaloka and approached the serpent kings, Vasuki and Takshaka. She didn't draw a weapon. Instead, she offered them maternal authority. By treating the feared serpents as her own children, she secured their absolute, unquestioning loyalty. She became the only being in the cosmos who could grasp lethal venom in one hand and divine nectar in the other, keeping both in a delicate, permanent state of tension. Despite saving the cosmos, Manasa faced immediate rejection in the celestial courts. Because her origins were a mix of indigenous tribal folklore and later Hindu integration, she was viewed as an outsider. Shiva's own wife, Chandi, despised her. Chandi subjected Manasa to severe abuse, culminating in an attack that burned out Manasa's left eye. Left half-blind and exiled, Manasa developed a reputation for being short-tempered, harsh, and deeply unforgiving. To secure her rightful seat in the divine pantheon, the gods gave her an ultimatum. She had to prove her legitimacy. The only way to do that was to descend to Earth and establish a massive, unwavering cult of human devotees. Forced to fight for every inch of her respect, she became the fierce protector of the marginalized. She answered the prayers of those living on the fringes of society, rewarding loyalty with extreme generosity and punishing disrespect with lethal precision. Her campaign for devotion reached its climax with a wealthy merchant named Chand Saudagar. Chand was an aristocrat and a rigid devotee of Shiva. He absolutely refused to bow his head to a local, lesser snake goddess. Manasa targeted his arrogance directly. To break his pride, she systematically killed his first 6 sons and sank his entire merchant fleet to the bottom of the ocean. And still, Chand refused to worship her. The final strike occurred on the wedding night of Chand's 7th son, Lakhinder. Chand locked the couple in a sealed iron chamber for protection, but a tiny serpent slipped through a crack and killed Lakhinder. His young bride, Beula, refused to accept his death, setting his body on a banana stem raft and floating down the river toward the realm of the gods. Beula endured a grueling journey to the heavens. Once there, her devotion and her dancing won the sympathy of the celestial court. She successfully persuaded Manasa and the gods to return Lakhinder's soul to his body. When Beula returned home with her resurrected husband and all 6 of his resurrected brothers, Chand Saudagar finally yielded. He picked up a flower and offered it to Manasa. though his pride forced him to do it with his left hand, looking away. Manasa accepted the gesture anyway, restoring his wealth entirely. By the time Chand Sadagar finally offered that flower, the lesson was clear. Manasa doesn't just demand worship, she demands the total surrender of the self. In her world, the only way to survive the bite is to bow before the one who owns the poison. You can see the result of that mythological victory today in Haridwar, one of India's most sacred cities. Millions of people gather on the banks of the Ganges, seeking Manasa Devi, who is revered as a powerful granter of wishes. She no longer resides in the depths of the underworld. Her primary shrine, the Mansa Devi temple, sits at the very peak of the Bilwa Parvat, looking down over the entire region. Every day, thousands of devotees board the Udan Katola cable cars to make the steep ascent to her sanctuary. Once at the top, they tie red threads to the branches of a sacred tree, binding their hardest, most desperate wishes to the goddess. Her worship peaks during the annual monsoon festival of Naga Panchami. Devotees offer milk, honey, and flowers to stone carvings of serpents, asking the goddess to shield their families from disease and snake bites during the rainy season. Notice the specific nature of this ritual. A creature that naturally evokes biological terror is treated with intense maternal care. The devotee is actively engaging with the source of their fear. Manasa Devi remains a vital figure because she represents the thin, dangerous line between life and death. In a world where a single bite can end everything, she offers a way to negotiate with the darkness, reminding her followers that the most terrifying forces in nature can be transformed into guardians, provided they are given the respect they demand.